Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Sean. It's been a while. Haven't been on the channel in some time, but I figured it's time for a couple new reviews. So, lately I've been getting into Hill People gear packs, and the first pack I got from Hill People Gear is called the Tarahumara. So, Hill People Gear is a small company from the US. Scott and Evan Hill are the brothers who are behind the company, and they make outdoorsy packs primarily designed for the backcountry, especially for rugged use. But they also work as hiking packs, although they're not ultralight, they're more on the rugged end. The materials that they use are typically going to be some, some combination of synthetic like materials such as um, Cordura fabric, as well as just all the regular mil-spec kind of quality Duraflex plastic hardware, a little bit of metal in there as well. So really high quality materials and all sewn by hand. So the Tarahumara is a small pack, and what I like about this pack is that it is quite compact, yet actually surprisingly roomy for how compact it is. So the structure of the pack in general it's an interesting shape. It sort of has this sort of wider part on the on the top, then it sort of narrows in a little bit towards the middle, and then has these pockets on the sides. And because it is nothing here is stretchy, so it requires a little bit of calibration or planning on how exactly you want to carry and what exactly you put in it. But once you have it dialed in, it actually carries wonderfully. So what's the deal here? So we're basically dealing with a pack that is essentially around I want to say 15 liters, 16 liters, something like that. Possibly even 18. I have to look at the website again, but it's somewhere around there. And it's really simple. It's sort of it's one compartment primarily with a middle zip, and then we have two water bottle pockets as well as a little bit of para on the bottom. So you can basically like kind of overload. You can like attach things on the outside if you want to strap things on the outside. Of course, that would obstruct the opening. As is, the opening is somewhat obstructed with these buckles. So every time you want to access the main compartment, you do have to open two buckles, which is somewhat of a hassle at times, but at the same time, it's kind of the way this pack is designed. It's not really meant for constant access because it's an outdoors pack. It's primarily designed to sort of like, take on a bike ride, go on a little hike, which is what I have it set up for now. And once you kind of get to your destination, you just set it down, open up the buckles, open up the middle zip, and then you have really nice access to everything inside. So there are different people who use a pack of this size for different applications. There are, of course, some sort of like rugged ultralighters, or rather, I should say more like bushcrafter minimalists, I should say, who can manage with a pack like this overnight, which is kind of crazy for me, but there's people who do it. If you're willing to, stuff some kind of a scarf with like, various leaves and turn that into your mattress, and sleep on that, and you're willing, you can go hunting and you can go fishing and you can make do with a pack like this if you have those skills. But for the majority of people, I would say this is more of a short hike type pack. I fall into that category. For me, this is quick jaunts on the trail when I just want to grab a book, a little bit of water, a little snack, maybe maybe a little bit of toiletries, first aid, stuff like that, and pretty much just have what you need for a couple hours out in nature. So that's what I have it packed out for at the moment. So yeah, let's just take a look and see how it all packs. So of course, if anybody knows Hill People gear, you'll know that one of the famous things about their packs is the way that they have their whole harness, which is one piece, so it distributes the weight nicely. Now I actually own both the Junction and the Omlindi version 2 besides for this pack, and they all carry really nice. They all have this same harness system. And what's really cool about it is that it distributes the weight across the shoulders. However, at the end of the day, it still is weight. I mean, weight is weight. at the end of the day, it's not transferring anything to your hips really. Although I do find that this creates a little bit of space here because there's, it's designed to ride a little bit lower on the back. And as a result, the bottom portion, if it's packed well, especially the bottom portion here, can kind of sit on your lumbar a little bit. If you kind of distribute the weight properly, you could actually end up balancing the weight a little bit on your lumbar, even without a hip belt. But of course, I would say that the majority of the weight is still carried on the shoulders with a pack that does not have a hip belt or the capability of attaching one. Nor do you really need that with a pack of this size. Although, of course, like I mentioned, you could oversize it. You could add a stuff sack or something, and then it becomes, you can be adding a little bit more weight, but still, I would say you're not packing this with crazy amounts of weight. It's a small pack. So that's basically kind of the harness, which is kind of unique and makes it super comfortable, really, really comfortable. And then the other thing here is you do have this sort of pocket in the back. There's just an open pocket, and I actually have here a sort of folded into two Z pad, which is great for just sitting out in nature and giving my butt a little bit of cushioning while I read a book or eat a snack. And without it, it doesn't come with anything inside it, but of course you could purchase their HDPE frame sheet as well, which adds some structure, although I don't believe it has much of a bend or ability to create any contour to it. I think First Spear might sell one that has a contour or the ability for contour that fits the pack, but I find that just adding this moderate amount of cushioning and just a tiny bit of structure in there is enough and perfect for this pack to create. I did experiment with cardboard and other materials, but I found that really I just like the double utilization of being able to use the Z-pad in the back over there. Okie dokie. So that's that. Now, like I mentioned, in the front here, we basically have one big zip, and these are big YKK zippers, so really, really comfortable. I mean, you could basically do it with one hand, just like that. And let's see what I have it packed out for. So like I mentioned, basically I have it packed out for quick excursion into nature. So here I have a padded pouch where I have my GoPro of which I'm filming with right now. So this is just, I kind of put my GoPro, my neck attachment, which is connected to me right now, as well as a little, like a mini tripod, so I can do shots of myself from the outside. So that's one thing I put there when I want to do a review. Here I have a Dyneema pouch, which I got from Etsy, which just has some tissues and some sunscreen and some wipes and some kind of basic lip balm, body cream, face cream, just stuff I need if I dry out here or want to clean up a bit. And it's Dyneema, and I really like this little pouch. It's got these nice water-resistant zips. That's pretty cool, very light. Here I have in the front, I also have here an Eagle Creek silk nylon pouch, which is very flexible, and when it's not full to the top, it's malleable and weighs nothing. But inside here I have a snack, so let's see what fits. So I basically have here some sardines for some protein. Apologies for the noise. We have some mountain bikes, ATVs, things like that. People enjoying themselves out here in the Judean hills near Jerusalem. And so yeah, it's a nice day today, a little chilly. Now here I have some nuts. So the nuts are just a nice balancing little fiber, a little bit of fats, healthy fats. I got some whole grain bread here. This is sourdough that is actually made by my neighbor. And I have here half a lemon, so I can squeeze that onto the sardines just to, give it some flavor, vitamin C. And of course, I have a spork, and that is it's a titanium one from a brand called Vargo, it seems. And I have that wrapped also to both protect it hygienically and also to wipe my hands afterwards. So that's kind of a perfect snack for me. I got a little carbs, a little protein, a little fats in there, and nice snack. Next up, I have here a little pouch. This one is a collaboration of Tough Possum Gear and Alpen Design Works, which I've previously shown on the channel. And inside, as you know, I have here a little, you call this, like a little tarp sort of mat thing, like a little nylon mat, basically, which I can use to sit on, just to create a space that's clean. And this is stretchy material, so I really like this little pouch. Next up, I have here a mini first aid pouch. This is kind of my more minimal version. I also have the Tough Possum Gear, more kind of intense one, but this one is just, I would call it like an expanded boo-boo kit, and it's the new water resistant or waterproof line that they make. I forget exactly what it's called. I think it's the Element pouch, perhaps. It has the ability to insert a little patch, which is cool, and I got this patch from Etsy. It's this kind of a 2x2, I believe. And here we have just various bandages, gauze, and other goodies, shears, things like that. So pretty much just in case sort of pouch. It is a little bit hard to close sometimes. It can get caught on the bandages. We'll just deal with that later. Okie doke. Next up, I have here my Kindle. This is a Kindle Oasis. This is a custom pouch done also by Etsy, because it's really hard to find the sleeve, surprisingly, for the Kindle Oasis. And I also put a little ring here to make it easier and kind of holds, stays steady, it doesn't slip. And I got a little non-skid tape for my fingers to kind of grip onto it. I really like that. So this is how I read. Sometimes I'll take a physical book. Other times I kind of prefer the Kindle for reading. I'm currently reading Hawaii by James Michener. I'm a very slow reader. Started reading that quite a while ago, and I'm still reading it. Next, I have the Tough Possum Gear. This is, I believe, the belt pouch. It's a really nice shape. It's kind of a wider, stubby, kind of a fun, boxy shape that I find is really nice. It's durable, and this is sort of I kind of take this on every time going into nature, just in case. Basically, it just has inside it some basics to kind of keep me just a little bit of survival stuff, I guess, even though I'm pretty close to my house, but just in case I'm venturing a little further. If night falls, basically I have here a cable. I have here a little Spyderco knife, which is sort of a rescue vibe knife. It's tiny, but it helps. It almost works. You can actually kind of cut a little bit of wood in it with it. You can cut things with it. It's quite effective, even though it's so small. It's the Salt series. I got here a little lighter, turbo lighter. I got here some waterproof matches. I got here kind of a thrower flashlight, which is a really nice one from Nightwalker. And then I have, of course, a headlamp, just a simple kind of lightweight headlamp, as well as a battery pack. And this battery pack is by BioLite. I like them. They make some cool stuff. I like their other lights, and here's another light from BioLite as well, which has some red and some flashing. Just emergency light, just some extra juice, basically, in case I need a little extra power to get me through in the evening on the trails, and a little way of starting fire. So that is that. And then lastly, that's pretty much it. Although on the very top here, there is a loop, and I connected a Grimlock, and here I actually have the Spuds Pro, which is basically a way to clean my glasses. So we have here kind of a microfiber, and it also has an integrated little bottle of spray to clean my glasses. And I like that hangs from the top. That makes it kind of convenient. Now over here on the outside, we have two water bottle pockets. Like I mentioned, they do not have any stretch, and they are a very particular diameter, which I find works okay for Nalgene 32-ounce bottles. However, it kind of pushes in and digs into the pack with that width. So I wanted something that just still fills out the pocket nicely, but doesn't dig into the pack very much. And I found that this Bobber brand from Amazon is kind of the perfect fit for what I needed. I also tried the Hydro Flask. The 40 ounce is very similar to the Nalgene in width, so it might be a little bit sort of borderline too wide. I would say like a Hydro Flask Trail series is kind of a little bit narrow, the 32 ounce. This is a 30 ounce bobber, and it is a wonderful height and a wonderful width. It just kind of, it's almost like it's meant for it. You see, it has just a little bit of wiggle, but once you add the closure here, and notice how the strap just lands right beneath this so that it cannot really fall out very effective. I mean, it locks it in quite nicely. Of course, it could still fall out technically, I guess, but it just doesn't tend to. And yeah, by the way, I wanted to mention there's another loop here, so you could technically move the strap. I did experiment with just a single compression strap in the middle. I experimented with just one on the bottom. In general, I find that the straps on the bottom, either the very bottom one or the middle one, are the most effective at actually compressing the load. The top one is not as important because the way that this pack is designed, typically things will kind of fall to the bottom, which is one of the weaknesses, I would say, of the pack. So you kind of have to sort of strategically pack it out. So like, for example, this, you go, okay, this is like a nice width. It's not too wide. Because if I'll go like this, if it's too wide, it could actually push the bottles out a little too much, and then it kind of creates too much stress. So I like to kind of do it this way, and that way it has a little room to breathe, and then it's kind of strategic. So you place your Kindle in there on the bottom, and then you go, okay, like what's the other flat kind of thing that I could put there? So it's sort of like a little jigsaw setup that you set up, and you kind of try to make sure that the light things are kind of on top and that fill out the top nicely, so that you don't have a situation where everything is kind of falling to the bottom, creating a lot of like pressure against the bottles, and then on the top it's kind of empty, right? So yeah, it's kind of hard to explain. Basically, you see how now it fills it out nicely on the top, and that's because it was kind of laying flat, and I put things kind of strategically, and then I can actually kind of, and then let me just move the camera a bit so you can see. Okay. Basically, at this point, now, wow, those, I gotta say, those Duraflex buckles, I mean, on the one hand, they're very, very good quality, but they're so tight that sometimes they'll pinch my finger every time I go to close. I'm almost afraid of closing them. I've gotten so many little pinches from them because they're just so, the resistance is so precise. Last one I forgot here, and typically I find that I can squeeze something on the top just because of the shape. You see how basically things will always kind of fit on the very top there. So that's nice. You see, that's like a nice solution of just being able to squeeze things on the top and then compress the load. So I ended up sticking with the 2 strap systems, and I find that it's pretty effective. Okay, now this is an interesting one here on the bottom, because basically what we have here is like, we have this paracord, right? But then I'm a little hesitant at times to use it because, I mean, it's good for squishy things. Like if I have like a little very light jacket or something, then yeah, it could work really well. But for example, I have this umbrella, right? And I was a bit hesitant because it's sort of flat. It doesn't have much resistance or anything to really grab it very effectively. So unless I really pull the paracord all the way, now it's not really moving anywhere, you see? However, if it's even a slightly loose, then the thing will just slide right out, right? So you kind of got to be careful with what you're putting in the paracord part, but technically, yeah, you could add a little bit of expansion to the pack with that. The other thing about these compressions is I kind of wish there was something to capture on the bottom. Now, they do sell something called a capture flap, which is sort of exactly that, designed to capture things from the bottom. But it's kind of bulky and like adds quite a bit more than I need. I kind of wish there was a simpler, maybe paracord solution to kind of just create a little bit of a net on the bottom here so that things don't fall to the bottom. Because if I were to take, let's say, an umbrella and try to put it over here, now I'm fully relying on the resistance of the strap. So the moment I loosen the strap, the thing will just fall right to the bottom, right? But if there was some sort of capture mechanism on the bottom here, something light and simple that would somehow, like a little paracord here that would kind of capture it, then I wouldn't have to worry about that issue. But I guess, yeah, I'm not exactly sure how that would be designed, but it's still just an idea. Overall, it still is effective. Again, more so not for like things like this, but more so for things like a jacket. So if I took, this is a very bulky, real winter jackets, obviously this might work better if I were to put it inside a stuff sack first. But nevertheless, just to demonstrate the point, because it really does have quite a bit of overflow capacity in terms of volume here. So let's see, how can I roll this in an effective way? So if I just kind of, I guess I can just kind of smush it, and then, okie dokie, there we go. That. Obviously it's a bit messy, but you get the idea. So technically if it gets too warm, I could kind of strap something to the outside and then compress it just like that. And that's actually quite nice. It's quite a nice feature. I have to say, there aren't a lot of 17 or so liter packs that give you this sort of compression built in that allows you to compress and add things to the outside that are so bulky. So it's really quite a nice feature to have, especially for an outdoorsy pack. So overall, yeah, that's the pack. It's been best utilized for me as my go-to quick hike pack. Nothing too major, just go out, read a book, have a snack, come home. Nothing. I wouldn't take my hammock in here. I'd use the Lindy for that. I wouldn't take anything too bulky really, just sort of like I say, quick jaunts and enough for a couple liters of water. And it rides very, very nicely on the back. I really love it. It's like it basically just disappears on your back. Really does. I mean, you just don't even notice it. Can you run with this? I've actually ran with this in the past a little bit, and yeah, the answer is you technically could. It will bounce slightly. Yeah, it will, depending on how it's loaded out. It could bounce a little, but you could still do it technically. So I do like that. I would not use this as my running pack. I do have a running pack, but if you're caught in a situation where you need to run with it, you definitely could. The Tarahumara are a tribe of, I believe, native Mexicans who are known for their running, so it's named after them. So I was under the impression when I first bought this that, oh, I'm getting like sort of a hybrid hiking running pack. And it's really more of a hiking, like a minimal hiking pack. But, you know, I mean, the Tarahumara are also known to run with sandals. So sandals are not typically viewed as running attire, and yet they make it work. So it's kind of like exactly like that. It's sort of an old school, real outdoorsy little pack, minimal, and you kind of make it work for everything. So there you go. Hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. I can also do a comparison between this and the Junction, which is slightly larger top-loading pack, or the Lindy, which is an even larger pack that has the capability of attaching a belt and it has an internal frame sheet. So let me know if you have any interest in those packs as well, and I can potentially review them. Anyway, hope this was helpful for you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. By the way, there's one more thing I forgot to mention. So basically, as far as the front is concerned, so obviously this is a continuation of this sort of single harness, but it actually has quite a bit of width all the way down to the front too. So it takes a little bit of time to get it to kind of sit perfectly. I do find that overall, I think this harness probably will work better for people with slightly wider shoulders, because if your shoulders are narrow, the way that the harness is shaped, it's sort of a single piece, so it's designed to kind of conform to a degree, but it also is, because it's one piece, it's kind of best suited for a specific width of back, right? So for me, I think my back is just a little bit narrower than it's kind of ideally designed for, but I make it work. But it's not a deal breaker by any means. It's just, it kind of feels as if there's a little bit of a bubble of air kind of right there in the middle there, because of the way it has to fold a little bit more rather than spread out over a wider back, but it's not a big deal. The front here does contain these cool little, I mean, it's just simple stretchy cord with Again, all good quality hardware. And this is actually really useful for attaching poles if you want to. It actually comes with 2 on each side, so you could do like, you could stow poles quickly, like trekking poles, or you could stow anything else. You could stow like various like floppy water bottles, or even hard ones, I guess. It has surprising retention, these pieces here. Although I don't tend to use them very often because I find that bulky things on the front here sort of, yeah, maybe not ideal for me, but people do it, and you could connect a variety of different things. I even experimented with attaching my Olympus OMD camera, and it actually surprisingly works well, especially with a compact lens. I think I tried it with like the 15 millimeter f2 lens, or is it 1.8? Anyway, it's a prime, kind of a compact lens, and works great. I mean, yeah, I don't know if I would do a long distance hike with that, but it still is cool. You do feel a little bit of weight. Another thing about this pack is the only kind of downside I would say for me really is it's kind of a struggle to find a place to put my phone and keys. So what I end up doing is I usually will attach a phone pocket to here, which is possible. But again, then you have this like kind of bulky thing kind of here, but it does work. It doesn't come with any inherent specific pocket to put your phone and keys. And that big wide opening in the back is just kind of a loose place. And it just doesn't make sense to have something that you want to grab constantly to have it in the back there. So you can either put it in your pocket. Obviously, I know many Hill People gear enthusiasts will use a kit bag. Personally, I haven't gotten into the kit bag thing yet. It just doesn't make sense for me to have 2 compartments. It feels like it's wrapping me up too much to the point where I'm like claustrophobic a little bit, and I guess I would get really sweaty in the summer with like 2 things on both sides. But who knows? Maybe I'll get into it later on at some point. But for now, just wanted to point out that there isn't an obvious place with this pack alone to put your phone. So you might want to get like a pocket for the front, kind of to connect here. Anyway, that's it. All right. See you guys. Take care.